Hey, what's up guys? Thank you so much for clicking into this first video in my new segment called 90s Classics. This series is going to be a fun look back at what I consider to be a very vibrant decade in cinema. We're going to talk about all the genres, discussing a variety of different movies, and today I have a fun double feature lined up for you guys. We're going to talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer and its sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, so let's get started. I Know What You Did Last Summer came out in October of '97, and it certainly was a key film in the resurgence of the slasher genre to an entirely new generation. Along with the frontrunner easily being Scream that came out a year prior, the cast in this one was pretty solid with some relevant teen stars on the rise. You had Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Ryan Phillippe. Hollywood tried to make stars out of all these guys, and they combined to play a group of high school friends that on a night of partying mistakenly hit some guy out in the street, and in panic mode they attempt to dump the body, but the following year they learn that someone in fact knew what they did last summer. Now, not all of this film has held up so well over the years. I still think it does have a fun charm to it. It's campy. The performances are definitely not perfect. It also has some blatant plot conveniences, but all of these elements to me are sort of what make it stand up as a naturally charismatic slasher film. The mystery in this one gets going quickly, and it doesn't take its foot off the gas as characters start dropping off one by one from the hook of this mysterious killer and a slicker, and it does create a fun, foreboding atmosphere despite following a lot of genre tropes. And I gotta say, it's also very satisfying to see these younger characters getting killed off in a variety of different ways and never knowing who's going to be next. I think it's genuinely suspenseful at times. It's also over the top during many others, but I think it's kind of cheesy in all the ways you kind of want it to be. The cast performances certainly do add some personality to some generic character types, but it was a star-studded cast for '97, and to go back and see these younger actors in these roles is a good time still. There were some moments of overacting, there were some forced emotional reactions and some clunky dialogue, but for the most part I have to say that they made it work, and despite the flaws that are here, it still comes across as more nostalgic than anything, because despite the material just not being the most clever or intricately written, I think the chemistry between the cast and the energy between them are what can lure you into this story.
This is nothing. I Know What You Did Last Summer? Ooh, what a crock of shit.
I think they all did a great job of giving this film a collection of naturally likable characters to invest in, despite not caring if they live or die or not. It also delivers an action-packed, intense third act that really builds a lot of fun suspense. There's an endless amount of ADR screaming that would really make for just a fun drinking game with friends, because characters are just constantly running around from a shrouded killer, screaming at the top of their lungs routinely, and with plenty of blood and plenty of violence and a horrifically dated soundtrack. I think this movie is just pure 90s horror fun. The movie knows exactly what it is. It has a lot of fun with itself, which really results in a charming viewing experience with a slasher film that showed a serious focus on not being serious and just letting its personality shine.
July, Julie.
Now let's talk about the sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. This movie came out just 1 year later, trying to easily capitalize on the momentum of the first movie. It's basically the exact same plot, just moved out to the Bahamas so that a tropical resort could be used as the playground for murder instead this time. Jennifer Love Hewitt was back, Freddie Prinze Jr. was as well, kind of. Mekhi Phifer and R&B singer Brandy fell out the foursome, but I gotta say, even back then and just watching it recently, this was a massive swing and a miss for me. There was no chemistry here. The personalities never felt genuine. None of the characters were likable. The dialogue was pretty bad, and the cast didn't make it any better with just forced emotional swings and endless amounts of overacting. Hewitt kind of felt like she was sleepwalking through this one. She lacked nearly all the energy and charisma that she had in the first movie. Prinze Jr. was mostly absent, but I gotta say somewhat amusing in this Lone Ranger mission that he was on, and he had a lot of unintentionally comical scenes, in particular one in a pawn shop that had me LOLing like crazy.
And give me the gun.
gonna go this way.
Is you loaded?
No.
Loaded.
Mekhi Phifer has had some great roles, but this was not one of them. The constant horny pouting routine just didn't work for me. His tantrums did even less. Brandy was just not good. Her character wasn't well written, but with her performance, it really wouldn't have mattered if the dialogue was phenomenal. But the movie does give us Rastafarian Jack Black, who brings a ton of energy, but was honestly more comical in a bad taste sort of way. The movie tries so hard to build tension and uneasiness, but nothing feels inspired or ambitious. And with a clear knowledge of who the killer is in the movie from the very first scene we see them in, it just completely hinders all of the unpredictability. It just goes through the motions of characters getting killed off in a variety of violent ways, and it just feels stale from the jump. It tries misdirection at times, but when coming off as blatant misdirection, it just fails to land. The movie also just beefed up the intensity of the musical score so much to try and just heighten the mood of scenes that generated no mood to begin with, and when looking back, the result was just comically bad and not in a good way. And despite only coming out 1 year after, it was just lacking all of that momentum that the first movie had built up. It simply tries to duplicate story layers instead of building off of them and exploring them, and with some bad casting choices, I think it just shined a massive light on an already major weakness in this movie, because regardless of who was in this film, it would have been more than likely missing that charisma of the first cast. But when you add some questionable casting choices and some flat out cut and paste character types, there's just nothing to invest in as the viewer. The movie didn't need to be great to be entertaining, but it did need to show some effort, and regardless of a fun tropical setting that had a lot of potential, this movie just felt flat from the very first second. So to close it out and grade these two movies, I would give I Know What You Did Last Summer a solid 85% on the entertainment meter. I would have to say, for what this film set out to accomplish, I think it did so by creating a fun 90s era slasher film with a very vibrant cast and just enough self-awareness to build an engaging setting as well as a charming atmosphere for a murder spree. As for I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, it's quite the opposite. I would give that one about 25% on the entertainment meter. The cast didn't work for me at all. The story progression and each of the layers to it felt played out, and with its lead star lacking energy, it just wasn't able to hide the fact that it was an assembly line cash grab. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. I would love to hear from you all. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. The link to my official website, all my social media and merchandise store links are going to be down in the description below. And in the event me talking to you guys about movies every couple days is not enough Anthony in your life, I now have a second YouTube channel with a growing collection of non-movie related content for you guys to check out, and I'll see you guys next time.